channel. So today we're actually going to go down memory lane, going back to the first books that Mpilo Publishing worked on. Now some of these books we did assist to self-publish, the whole publishing process, but some of them merely needed a few or a couple of our services, be it proofreading or light editing or just doing a book review for the purpose of marketing the book. Now the one thing that all these books have in common, which is also the reason why I'm using the hashtag #mystory, is the fact that all these books are based on true stories. The authors wrote a portion or a part of their life story which has a significant message. It's all books that are connected to the slogan of Mpilo Publishing, to heal, inform and empower. And these books, they give awareness about some of the things that we as people go through. And what I love about them as well is the fact that they ignite conversations that will also drive us to at least think about solutions, or to rather be aware of what happens around us and to see how we can actually tackle all these issues. And what's more is that all these authors are African authors. So without further ado, let's get started on the first one. So the first book that I'm going to cover is the book by Zizo Isabelo Zam Apleni, and her book is titled My Father Took Away My Innocence. Now, the title is very much self-explanatory. I also don't want to go deep in detail with it. You can check out the link to the book review down below. I remember when she actually approached Mpilo Publishing, and it was a time where she needed the book to be out because she had a deadline. She needed someone to proofread and to do some light editing on her book, and fortunately we could assist. It was quite a challenge in terms of having to read the book itself, because it is quite an intense topic. It's quite an intense book on its own. But what made us as Mpilo Publishing decide to actually take it in is understanding the purpose of the book itself. We understood the message that she was trying to bring across. We understood the healing that she's trying to share with the whole world, the healing journey that she had to go through, the healing journey that she underwent, and therefore is sharing with the whole world. We understood that there are other people who have gone through the same. There are people who need the book, who need to read the book for their own journey of healing. And as Mpilo Publishing, we are ecstatic, we are so happy that we're able to complete the project so that the purpose of the book can be fulfilled. The next book that I will cover is one of the books written by Patrick Neo Mabiletsa. And I say one of them because he has quite a number of books that he has published, of which I also would like to do book reviews on them, by the way. Hint, hint, Patrick. Yes, and one of these books that we assisted with is Chronicles of a Fatherless Son. Now with this book in particular, we only provided the service of doing a book review because once again, it is so much in line with what we as Mpilo Publishing stand for. The message of the book is very much clear. It gives awareness, it teaches, it informs, it ignites conversations about this topic as well. It helps us to be realistic about the things that we actually go through, especially with the topic of fatherlessness. And if you'd like to know more about the book, you can check out the link below this video as well, and details for you to be able to get hold of him and to make an order of the book. You can check out the link on the book review. What I love about this book is the focus on the effects of fatherlessness. We know that we can, there's two sides to the story. It's not necessarily a book where there is pinpointing of a failure or failures or things like that. Of course, that can be a topic for another day, but the focus on this book is just the effect on the fatherlessness that may help us as individuals who may want to have children one day to actually understand the effects of fatherlessness if we contribute to that issue. It's a book that helps us to understand the consequences of whatever decisions that we make in relation to this topic. So it's a very good book in that sense. And again, it helps to ignite conversations that will drive us to eventually find the solutions that we can tackle this issue. The next book that I will talk about is the book by Faith Kaumbo, and it is titled The Best Is Me. Now with this book, we assisted to just improve it a little bit in terms of the content. So we did some light editing on it, and also the printing side of it in terms of the size of the book and the paper used to print the book. And I'm sure as you can see, the cover of this book is like, it's beautiful, it's absolutely beautiful. And this book is basically about a lady. Okay, let me not do that. If you want to know more about the book, you can check out the link. The link is below to the book review, okay? Okay, maybe I can share just a little bit. So with this book, it's really focusing on women who go through so much, women who find themselves in situations that they didn't think that they would find themselves in, and then having to fend for themselves and getting to a point where they understand that, you know what, I am actually important, I deserve better, I should not be going through this, So that's the one hint I can give you. But if you want to know more about the book, you check out the link, and the link to get in contact with the author is also on the book review. But you can also look for her on socials. The link to her Facebook page is on the book review. Now with this next book, we assisted with the whole publishing process from the beginning to the end. And this book is titled Your Life Is Not Your Circumstances, and it's written by Mpilo Publishing, who is from a small village in the Eastern Cape called Gombo. So with her story as well, it's a very, it's a story that I would believe most people relate to as well, especially from those who are from the villages. And these are stories that may not necessarily be found at the biggest bookstores, but it's a story that needs to be out there because of the things that she has been through, which many others may have also been through. She's been through so much that one may actually even question as to whether so much can actually happen to a single human being, especially as a young girl, like from a very, very young age. She had to go through so much. But again, if you'd like to know more about the book, you can check out the link below this video. And what I love about this book is, the hope that it brings. The title itself is so self-explanatory. The purpose of the book is in the title. And as Mpilo Publishing, we never actually thought that we would even cover a story, from the villages, because usually, generally speaking, the kind of books that are out there are books of maybe famous people, or people with some, knowledge and expertise that they want to share. But it's seldom that we find our indigenous stories. And it was such a privilege then as Mpilo Publishing to assist to publish this book, because again, the message of it is very significant. It is needed, more especially for those people who can relate to Munisa's story. So it's very much a needed book. We also felt that it was important to also bring awareness or share the awareness of the things that actually happen to those who are in the villages, and for us to be compassionate. It's a book that says, okay, you've been through what you've been through, but it doesn't have to end there. There's more to life than that. Just renew your mind and focus on the good, which is the subtitle of the book. But as I said, if you want to know more, you can click on the link below to the book review, and the link to purchase the book is also on the book review. The next book is one of the books by Atini Memani. She's also one author who has written quite a number of books at this point, and the book that I'll be covering today is the book titled Where Did We Go Wrong? The subtitle is The Cry, Conversations About Men. Now, it's very easy to already assume from the title that this book is trying to, talk down on men, but you'll be very surprised. You'll be very surprised what you'll find in the book. What is in the book is actually awareness of, number one, the things that we are faced with. Number two, the root causes behind those things, which will also help us to understand men, right? And also then solutions that we can think about. Of course, the book does not give an exhaustive list of solutions. I mean, solutions can come from anybody at this point, but it does share a couple of those solutions. So it's a book that really connects conversations again around this topic. We know there are so many things that have been happening in relation to men. Not that there's nothing that women do that is not questionable, but with this book in particular, it's focusing on the concern regarding what we've faced with when it comes to men. But again, as I mentioned, it gives awareness, it shows us the root causes, and also gives us some solutions that we can consider, and it's also open to other solutions as long as we know the effects or what has been happening and the root causes. The root causes are such an eye-opener. But if you'd like to know more about the book, you can click on the link below to the book review, and you will find the details of how you get the book on that book review. You can contact the author on any of the social media platforms. She is on both Facebook and on Instagram. The second last book that I will cover is one of Natasha Zanzi's books. Yes, she's also one of the authors that has published more than one book, and her book is titled Let Go of the Past and Liberate Yourself. Now, just like with Nimisa Mkidlana, Natasha also shares her story of very gruesome events or incidences that she had gone through, and her story is quite shoo. Let me just say, you can click on the link below. You can click on the link below to know more about the book itself. The link to the book review is below. And again, it's another story for awareness of something else. And she approached Mpilo Publishing with her story. What made us accept the book itself is the message behind it, and knowing the purpose behind the book itself. It's a very much needed book as well. It's a book that ignites conversations regarding the many topics that she addresses on the book itself as well. But again, I don't want to spill the beans. I don't want to talk too much about the book. But you can check out the link to the book review below this video. Now, the second last book that I will cover is a book that was written by one of the youngest authors that I've come across. His name is Bongani Putswane, and he wrote the book Knocked Down but Not Out. Now, this is a book that was written by the youth for the youth. It's a story of a young boy who was very much troubled and troubling, but he got to a point where his life actually changed for the better. Because there's so many things that young people actually go through, so many things that young people find themselves in and put themselves in, and they don't realize the consequences that they will suffer as a result. And so with his story, he shares, very vividly, very openly about the things that he had been through, the things that he had done, and the resulting consequences. And then he shares his experience of the turning point, which changed his life completely. And right now, he's a completely different changed person. He is doing great things for the youth, for the community. But if you'd like to know more about his story, you can check out the link below to the book review. Also, if you'd like to get a hold of him and to get his book, you can do so even on social media. He is on Facebook and on Instagram. Now, with Bungani's book, we assisted with the editing and the proofreading, as well as the typesetting of the book. We also assisted with doing a book review for the marketing of his book. And the last book that we're going to cover under the hashtag My Story is the book titled Your Transformation Summons. Will You Answer the Call to Radical Change? And that is a book by Mpilo. Now, with this book in particular, it is a fiction book, but based on a true story, right? And it covers topics of mental illness. It covers the topic of the effects of an absent father once again, but with this story in particular, it really digs deeper into the actual impact it had on the character to not have her father around, and its consequences that one would not think actually exist. And that's why we take these books. We take these books in because they truly bring awareness. It helps us to make better informed decisions, to avoid certain things that happen. What is so different with this story in particular is the effect of an absent father, in the sense that with the character on the book, this affected her in such an extent that it tempered with her life, it tempered with her education, in terms of her ability to complete her education. It affected just her livelihood in general. It seemed as though her life, or being able to live, was threatened. And hence the subtitle, which is Will You Answer the Call to Radical Change? And the change she's referring to, she explains it as radical, because it was so important for her to make a change, to shift her focus, to get help as soon as she could. And what I love about the book as well is how this actual change is a change that was also, or rather is, very practical, in that even on the book she has the goals for the different aspects of a human being, different aspects, for instance, your physical, emotional, your spiritual, all of those, and being practical about how to achieve those goals. And she also has a planner. And if you'd like to know more about the book, you can check out the link. It is below, the link to the book review, that is. And if you'd like a copy of the book, you can also contact her directly on the socials. And on the book review, you will see the link to the Good Craft online store, where you can also purchase the book. And that is it for me for today. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed that. And I truly hope that you also see the kind of books that we as Mpilo Publishing are focused on. But of course, we're not limited to just those books. We're not limited to memoirs and autobiographies and biographies. This year, we've actually extended to business books, cookbooks, and children's books, as well as self-help. But the main books that we focus on, or our specialty here at Mpilo Publishing, are books that heal, inform, and empower, just like the books that we covered today. Thank you so much for your time, and I shall see you on the next video. Bye.